welcome to a very special interview, of course, with none other than the ambassador of Israel to Sri Lanka and India, His Excellency Naor Glon. Hello there, Your Excellency, and welcome to this special interview, of course.
Thank you. Very happy to be with you.
Your Excellency, I believe the last time we met, you were here in this beautiful island of Sri Lanka, and we had the opportunity, of course, of meeting face to face. But this time around, you're joining us on Zoom. Thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule to join us on this interview today. Starting things off, Your Excellency, when we speak of Israel and the current situation, of course, in the world, the region is in turmoil, and everybody seems to be talking about bringing some sort of normalcy, some sort of peace to the region. And of course, Israel and Palestine, of course, are the two countries that are principally embroiled in this conflict. And what kind of steps are being taken to ensure some sort of peace in the region and bring some sort of stability? Because the tensions in this region, Your Excellency, as you would very well know, is affecting the entire world. What is the process ongoing to bring some sort of peace to the region?
So I think we have to set some facts straight before we go into what can be done. It's not between Israel and the Palestinians, it's between Israel and Hamas. Hamas on October 7th did the atrocities, the highest atrocities is Jews met since the Holocaust in one day, 1,200 dead, tortured, raped, different terrible atrocities by Hamas. Early morning invasion during a Jewish holiday into 30 Jewish communities around Gaza. We are still having 133 hostages that are held in Gaza. So this is where we are. We don't have a fight with the Palestinian people. We have a fight with Hamas, which unfortunately is hiding under and behind civilian population. On the outset of our operation, we said that we are there, that we have two aims. One aim is to make sure that Hamas will not control Gaza and will not be able to commit against such atrocities. And the second one was to bring the hostages, the kidnapped, back home. So we are still on the track of doing these two. I would add, by the way, that once Israel started going after Hamas, all the Iranian proxies around us, proxies in the meaning that they are trained, financed, and equipped by Iran. Hamas is one of them, by the way, that started it all, but Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Shia militias in Syria and in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen, all these opened fronts with Israel. And add to that just something like 3 weeks ago, less than 3 weeks ago, Iran directly launched in Israel 350 projectiles. Most of them missiles, but some of them also suicide UAVs. So this is the situation where we are. We are now hoping to have a humanitarian ceasefire that will enable an exchange of some of the prisoners, hopefully all of them. We even don't know how many are alive because no one visited them and we don't get any information or Red Cross on anyone else. So the idea is to have a time that will be a humanitarian ceasefire, longer ceasefire, according to the numbers. We will also release prisoners from the jails of Israel. We hope it will happen. So far, Hamas resisted. They did one deal with us of exchange. Since then, they are refusing. And this is the situation more or less as we are today.
So, Your Excellency, you spoke about the hostages. And of course, what's the situation as far as securing the release of these hostages go? Is it certain? Do you have any information regarding when they will be coming back? Because based on what you said, it almost seems as if Hamas releases these hostages back into Israel, that will be the end of the conflict, at least at the level that it is at right now.
There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt that if they release the hostages, even now, when there are negotiations, they are speaking, the numbers thrown to the air is around 30 people that will be released out of 130. Some of them are dead. We know that for a fact, but we don't have any verification or any real evidence of who's alive, who will be released. If they would have been ready to release all the hostages, bring back bodies of those who are already dead, I think we would have seen a much, much longer ceasefire. And as I would quote bigger people than myself, Hillary Clinton, when she was asked after October 7th about the ceasefire, she said, but on October 6th, there was a ceasefire. So, we are going on these skirmishes with Hamas for quite a long time, a long period of time. And it's going on and off. But what they did this time is a totally other level of proportions. And we have to make sure it will not repeat itself. If they release the hostages, all of them, I think that there will be a very long period, a much longer period of quiet. But I don't see it happening very soon. Even the discussion now is, as I said, is on 30 people out of 130.
So moving forward, if you take Israel's image in the global stage, of course, we see growing protests even in the United States, one of your ally states, the protests that are taking place in universities, and that's now starting to become a growing concern, not only in the United States, but across the world as well. So Israel's image, if you will, has taken a little bit of a hit quite on the global stage because of the footage that is coming out of Gaza, because of the kind of operations that is seen to be taking place in Gaza, because of the civilian casualties, more than anything, because of the civilian casualties in Gaza, in whichever operations that the Israel launches. So in that respect, what does Israel plan on doing to maybe turn things around? Because, as I said before, the image of Israel as a global country, as a member of this global community, has suffered quite deeply.
So, first of all, we all understand that we have suffered a blow on our public image. I think it's much lower than people tend to think, because the people opposing Israel are much more noisy than they are popular. I just saw a poll after the US asking people, should Israel go to Gaza and make sure, to Rafah, and make sure that Hamas is not in power anymore, or should Israel stop any activities? Close to 80% says Israel has to go forward. Just to understand, more than 80. 18.
So this is according to which poll, Your Excellency?
There was a poll now. You can look at my Twitter feed. I just put it on. Right. But again, we got a blow, but there is no alternative. What can we do? We are attacked. We are trying to protect ourselves, to make sure it does not reoccur, to release our hostages. All of that, if we put in the weight, if I like people, I want people to love me. Yes, of course I do. Do I want people? Am I ready to risk the survivability of my country and my people, the only Jewish state on the world? Of course not. It's not a popularity contest. It's a survivability battle where we have 6 different fronts. 6 different fronts. I don't know any country, especially not a country that is half the size of Sri Lanka, Israel, that fights in parallel in 6 fronts. So we are doing things that are incredible here. We are trying really to protect ourselves wherever is possible, and we have more fronts than that, because there is also terrorists from the Palestinian Authority trying to do attacks, and we are doing it quite okay. The pictures are unfortunately the outcome of the fact that Hamas is hiding not behind now anymore, under its people. They are, of course, in a very small area. There are about 600 kilometers of tunnels where they are hiding. They are not above the ground where they can be hit. They are under the population. The population is there as a human shield. But even in these circumstances, in the most populated place in the world, which is Gaza, by the way, we are doing the utmost to prevent the civilian casualties. Of course, there is no 100%. I saw now, by the way, experts speaking about it, that the ratio between non-involved and combatant and non-involved civilian population is much better than previous wars that the West took in Afghanistan and Iraq. So the ratio between the terrorists that we kill and the unfortunate non-involved that are dying in the course of action is much better. That's part of war. War is not nice. We did not start the war. We did not ask for this war. We are trying now to create a situation in which our tiny country, surrounded by many, many hostile elements, will be able to survive. And so popularity, I love to be loved, but it's not alternative to being alive.
Your Excellency, but at the end of all of this, what is the final objective of Israel? Now, you said you're trying to protect the only Jewish state in the world, but there has been instances where certain parts of Palestine have been annexed to Israel, the Golan Heights, so on and so forth. So, is the final objective to claim the entire region? Is that what truly Israel is looking at?
Israel never had the territorial aspirations. On the contrary, I remind you that 1967 war was imposed in Israel, very similar, by the way, to what's happening today with the Houthis who are closing the straits. That's what happened also in 67. Israel was pushed by its neighbors into a war and lost territory. And from that time on, they are trying to get it back. Egypt got it back through a peace accord. We had a peace accord with Jordan since then. Jordan was not involved in any war since 67 with Israel. In 73, or they were not involved. We are happy to have agreements with everyone. It's not about territorial. If you listen to the chants of our enemies who call from the river to the sea, this is a call for the annihilation of the state of Israel. The river is the Jordan River. The sea is the Mediterranean Sea. This is where Israel resides today, and the Palestinian Authority together, and Gaza Hamas together. But if they say Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, it's free of Jewish people. That's what they're saying. If people don't understand the slogan that they shout, it's a chant, it's a problem. But we are not asking for anything territorial. This issue now is not territorial. The Hamas has no problems. They had Gaza, they have no territorial dispute. Gaza was independent since they took over. Israel left in 2005. Hamas won the elections, kicked out by force in 2007 the Palestinian Authority, and since then they are ruling there alone. So there is no territorial, no Jews there. It's clean of Jews. We took out 10,000.
But Your Excellency, Gaza is famously referred to across the world as the biggest open air prison in the world, and that's a blockade, of course, by land and sea imposed by none other than Israel. So when you say there is no territory in dispute, that they are free to live in that territory, are they really free?
So first of all, I would challenge you. This is the blockade. If they had their machines to dig tunnels, they had cement, they had, I don't know what blockade you're talking about, and I will remind you, look at the map. There is another country bordering, which is Egypt. They also have an exit to Egypt. So it's not only through Israel. There are enemies that are shooting at us. We are not supposed to let them come in. We are bringing in merchandise which is abused by Hamas, was abused before. The cement for rebuilding was used to rebuild tunnels. Money is flowing in. It doesn't look, I don't know if you saw pictures of Gaza before. That didn't look like a place under siege. The markets were full. The malls were very well equipped. So I wouldn't say that they are under any kind of siege. And it's not only Israel. They can go through Egypt. They can do with Egypt whatever they want. We never asked for this war, and we never tried to push them out. They have their territory. They had the chance after Israel left the disengagement in 2005 to turn it, as we hoped, as our Prime Minister then Sharon said, into Singapore, and they decided to make it into Gaza of today. That's the reality of life.
So moving forward, it's a well-known fact that there are no winners in war. If at all, the only winners in war are the people who have passed on from the horrors of the war. So moving forward, with regard to any peace deal with Hamas, we don't really see any discussions taking place. Are there discussions taking place? How far have they progressed? And are any of them really viable in your view?
No, Hamas is not a partner. Palestinian Authority is a partner. It is a partner of agreements. It's an enemy of the Palestinian Hamas is an enemy of the Palestinian Authority. They hate each other as much as they hate Israel. By the way, Hamas is a terror organization, ISIS-like organization of ideology of destruction of Israel. It's not a partner for any kind of an agreement. It's a terror organization, and as I said, after October 7, we decided that they will not rule Gaza again. That's our aim now. So, of course, there are no partners. There are other partners, better partners. We hope to kick them out of Gaza leadership and to find more moderate forces that are ready to live with Israel in coexistence in a better.
But Your Excellency, like you quite rightly said at the beginning, if Gazans are free to live in Gaza, and now you say that you have decided, or Israel has decided, not to let Hamas rule in Gaza anymore. Again, is that real freedom? Isn't that a decision that the people living in Gaza, or Palestinians, should be making instead of Israel?
I don't know. You ask the Americans, why did they decide to send away the Taliban from Afghanistan? And Afghanistan was not on their on the bordering neighbor. Why did people fight ISIS? This is ISIS. We are fighting here a war of the world. This is an organization that is threatening. It's a jihadistic organization, Muslim Brotherhood style belief. They believe that all countries should be controlled by Muslims. If you don't get it, read into it. It's very important to educate yourself. You cannot negotiate with such organizations. The religious belief is too deep. There are people you can speak to. These are not the ones. They are the ones who are threatening moderate countries in the Gulf. We are fighting a bigger war. You have to understand that if there will be the perception that Hamas has won, and what you see now in universities and places, this is really, really bad. Because ISIS was defeated, but the idea is still, some of the people still alive, and the idea is embedded in them. If they will feel that they have backwind or support, and they have a chance now of changing the world and doing the jihad that they want to do, they will do it. They will do it in Europe, where they are living. When they went back after the collapse of Syria, of ISIS and everything, in this region where many of them live, they will do it in the US, wherever they are. And this is the big risk. We are fighting a bigger war. There are people you cannot reason with, because the ideology is stronger than any reasoning you can make. They don't care about their own people. They kill their own people. Do they care about other people? Of none of their people, of people of Europe, or people of Israel, or people of Sri Lanka, or people of India? They don't care about anything. And there was only one way against these people: kill them. Because the ideology lives in them as long as they are there. If you have a terrorist that wants to kill you, there is a suicide bomber coming to you with a suicide jacket. What do you do? That's the question. What is your dilemma? You have a gun, and the suicide bomber is coming, is going to blow up himself, you, and everyone around. This is the situation where we are. This is the type of people we are dealing with. It's not the Palestinian Authority. It's not the Jordan that we speak to. It's not Egypt. It's not the Gulf countries that we have the Abraham Accord with. It's a totally different way of thinking. You have to understand that. It's very, very dangerous. These are dangerous people. These are rapists. They are child killers, decapitating people, burning people alive. It's the worst kind of people you will ever meet.
Your Excellency, of course, we here from Sri Lanka hope and pray, of course, that there is peace in the region, because peace in the world will benefit all people. And of course, the footage that is coming in from Gaza is very disturbing. And of course, peace would ensure that people will be able to live, the people's lives will be made better. Your Excellency, for this final part of the interview, I'd like to direct your attention towards relations between Israel and Sri Lanka, which has been cordial for a very long time. There has been mutual support benefiting both countries from quite a long time, since the beginning of Israel. And moving forward, of course, Sri Lanka is also part of this geopolitics that's happening right now. It's embroiled, in fact, in the middle of geopolitics, especially in this part of the world, in this region, in the Indian Ocean. And Sri Lanka has always been a part of the non-aligned movement. Sri Lanka has had no enemies from across the world. They've always maintained friendly relations with a lot of countries. Recently, the Iranian president himself also visited Sri Lanka. So, with Sri Lanka's non-aligned policy, and of course Israel's and Sri Lanka's relations being so close and so good, and also given the fact that there is now conflict in the region, and despite and not only between Gaza or Hamas and Israel, but also Iran is also now involved in this. How do you see this visit of the Iranian president to Sri Lanka?
Yeah, I've been in my 3 years in term as ambassador. I was working quite hard on promoting relations with Sri Lanka, sending workers to Israel. We were working in a center of excellence in agriculture that unfortunately did not come through because of the problems in Sri Lanka, political and economic, and in Israel. We had a lot of reasons. I just came with our minister of a couple of months ago to visit Sri Lanka with our minister of transportation and infrastructure to discuss cooperation in fields, in these fields. So we are trying to do quite a lot. Our relations are okay. We are, of course, unhappy with the voting pattern of Sri Lanka. You say, non-aligned movement, you are the only one staying in the non-aligned movement, this important, that is not Muslim. I must tell you, this is the reality. Most of the non-aligned movement countries already moved away from this policy, far, far away from that. But Sri Lanka is still stuck there. But I was personally very much disappointed from the visit of the Iranian president. It was less than 2 weeks after 350 projectiles were shot from Iran towards Israel. Iran, as I said before, is the head of the snake. All the proxies are trained, financed, and equipped by Iran. October 7, in the spirit, it was, I don't know if instigated by Iran, but they created the conditions that enabled them. And I think that one of the biggest motivations they had, they wanted to derail the relations that were building between Israel and Saudi Arabia in the press and everything. Still discussed after following the Abraham Accord. I think that they saw that pragmatic countries, moderate countries of the Gulf were getting closer to Israel. And of course, they don't like Iran. More or less around the time that the president visited Sri Lanka, the European Union added more sanctions on Iran. His Minister of Interior, who went to Pakistan, the first leg of the visit, did not continue to Sri Lanka. I would not be surprised if it's because Argentina took out against the Minister of Interior a warrant for his arrest, because in the early 90s, he was involved or heading the bringing down of the Jewish community center in Buenos Aires, where 85 people have died there. So this is the country that you were hosting, a country that is looking for nuclear weapon, and its president goes to a mosque, a place of prayer and coexistence. He goes to a mosque, and in the mosque, the president speaks about Israel as a cancerous growth in the presence of very silent Indian leaders and Sri Lankan leaders and Sri Lankan youth. So poisoning the minds of these young people. And this is really, for me, it was terrible, because you know what you do with a cancerous growth. You fight it, you kill it, you remove it. This is how they speak about Israel. And if you take the wish of Iran to have nuclear weapon, add to it its ability to send missiles, even interballistic missiles that have the ability to carry weapon, and you add to it treating Israel as a growth, as a cancerous growth, malignant growth, or as Rafsanjani, I think, said it very well, one bomb can wipe the entire state of Israel, and we understand what kind of bomb he's referring to. And at this time, you are, hosting them after they attacked Israel, giving them the floor to delegitimize the existence of a democracy.
Well, Your Excellency, if I may be permitted to interject there, Your Excellency, there have been instances even in the past where Israeli politicians, including sometimes high-ranking ministers of the Israeli government, even calling people in Gaza or calling Hamas animals, not humans. So it's really, when you come to this whole argument of, are we right or are they right? Are they right? Usually the people who are in both camps are kind of biased. So when it comes to a country, a sovereign country that's dealing with all countries from across the world, how do you reckon a country like that should maybe judge individually other countries when one country says they are bad and the other country says, no,
Yeah.
they are bad?
Look at Iran. Iran is not a democracy. How it's treating its own population, its own women, its own lack of democracy, its destabilization of the whole region. It's not about Israel. They are supporting the Houthis who fought the Saudis and the UAE. I just remind you, it's not one instance that it's only about Israel. It's about destabilization. If you look at the Middle East after what happened there, you would see that they were involved in any place of instability, from Bahrain to the Houthis to Yemen, to Syria, to Lebanon, where they are controlling through Hezbollah. So all of that, this is Iran today. It's not about the accusation of this or that. Iran, set as a state by the leadership, is set to destroy a friendly country to Sri Lanka. And no one, I saw at least in the official side, I don't know what happened in the meetings, no official from the Sri Lankan side, for example, said anything about October 7 attack, not about the 133 abductees, release them, calling the Iranians to release them. Humanitarian, obvious thing that you would ask. No one even denounced the 350 projectiles shot towards Israel. None of that was all missing from the visit. So you have the visit of Iran at the time that all the world is speaking against Iran. The European Union are adding sanctions, and not even any word of criticism towards anything that is happening in the region, nothing. So for me, it was a big delusion after 3 years working with I know the position of Sri Lanka, but in my opinion, it went a notch further.
Your
This visit.
Excellency, in of course, in hindsight, Sri Lanka has always been advocating for peace in the region. And as to how far denouncing a certain attack and then criticizing those attacks would accomplish the goal of establishing some sort of peace in the region is, of course, a question mark. But of course, from the statements that were made and the internal discussions that were held and the discussions, of course, that were open to the media, there was talk of how to bring peace to this region that has been embroiled in a conflict that has devastated the world, especially at a time when the entire world is slipping into recession. And there is also another war going on in Ukraine and Russia. Our hope and prayer is, of course, that there could be peace in the region, there could be peace in the world. And as far as Sri Lankan authorities are going, they've always been advocating for it. And we as citizens in Sri Lanka, and I believe also, of course, citizens in Israel also would be advocating for the same. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for joining us on this interview, and of course being so candid with your expression of views and being so honest in your expression. Thank you very much. And it's, of course, an end to this very special interview with His Excellency Naor Gilon, the Ambassador of Israel to Sri Lanka and India. Once again, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for joining us on our program. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.